Welcome to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, brought to you by Pilma. This podcast helps lead lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Here is your legal marketing expert and host, Ken Hardison.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Ken Hardison, and welcome to another episode of Grow Your Law Firm. And today we have the honor and pleasure of having Stuart Foster with Law Firm Fractional CMOs. Welcome to the show, Stuart.
All right, glad to be here, Ken.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about what a fractional CMO does and whatever and things like that, why people need them, or lawyers actually, or maybe any business. But I really want to know your story. How did you, I always like for people to tell me, tell me your journey. How did you get where you are? How did this end up being your company? I mean, there's always a story.
How did I fall off a truck and start doing marketing for law firms? Is what I like to tell people.
There you go.
You know, I was a career branding and marketing guy, big company stuff. Trained, sharpened my tools at L'Oreal as a young kid. Got in the wine and spirits business with LVMH, the big luxury goods company, with Moët Hennessy, and worked all over the world. I lived in Japan for 4 years. I lived in France for 3 years and helped build wine and spirits brands, businesses, which got me connected to hotels, where we were selling a lot of our product, and particularly in the casino space, because they owned the bars and the nightclubs. And so I ended up working for Hilton, became the head of marketing for Hilton, and was cranking along well, and got to a point in my career where I started to say, this big company stuff just isn't fun. And what I came to realize was I loved the first 3 years of my jobs, and I would change jobs, within these sort of long stints I had. And what I loved was coming into a problem business, or it was a new country. I went to Japan, the market was flat, we weren't growing, and doing a whole assessment and audit, like what's wrong, what's working, what's not working, build a new strategy, and turn around the business. And I loved that part of it. And it would last 2 to 3 years. And then once you got that in place and we were on the second or third iteration, I got bored. I didn't love if they came back to me and said, oh, do what you did last year, but just add 3% to it. That was uninteresting to me. And so it was actually a good friend. I was between jobs. I'd become CMO of Topgolf and had to leave there because of the pandemic. I got laid off during COVID. And after that, someone said, you're so good at what you do. Why don't you go into business for yourself and sell your knowledge and expertise? And so I got into the fractional space. I just looked around and discovered there's this whole world of experienced executives who basically sell their services to multiple clients at a time. And so I went to work for a large fractional CMO company. They're kind of a consulting company, learned how to go to market, how to position myself, how to speak the right language, and how to really position what am I selling. And so worked for that company for about 4 years, did really well, made it all the way up to partner. But the market started evolving, and that company just didn't want to evolve. They didn't want to change their practice. They didn't want to change how they went to market. And I just saw that the market was moving. And so 3 of us left that company and started our own business. And why law firms? Law firms started coming to us, strangely enough. We were working for that consulting business, and a couple of good ones came to us and said, we see what you do for these other professional services businesses. Can you do that for us? And our first reaction was, no, we don't do that for law firms. We don't know anything about law firms. And they really were insistent, and we dug into it. And what we found with law firms was there was this industry of businesses, $20 to $100 million businesses, that are really behind the times when it comes to marketing. They are relying on broadcast TV, billboards, badly performing websites, all just like 1985 marketing. And we said, wow, if we could come up with a way to transform their marketing and bring it into 21st century marketing, we could really have an impact. So we started working with a few, and we realized that our impact was massive. We were growing firms by 50% in a year. We were getting firms that had to grow from 10 to 30 lawyers. We were just driving leads from 30 a month cases to 600 a month, like real marketing transformation. And we just discovered there's a place where we can take the expertise we learned at these big companies. We've adapted it to a model that works really well for law firms. And we started Law Firm Fractional CMOs. And I started going to conferences to meet more attorneys. That's where I met you. And here we are talking to more and more law firms every day.
Yeah. I always used to say that TV made lawyers lazy because they just throw more money at it. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it used to work. I mean, you could have a bad commercial because the saturation wasn't there. It's there now. Things have changed. It's got a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
It's 10 years. And my question to you is, and I think law firms in general are behind everything, not just marketing, but management, the whole everything.
Operationally, yeah.
Yeah, technology, everything. We're just always behind, and especially PI lawyers. But the deal is really it didn't bother them that much because they were making so much money anyway. It didn't really matter. But things have changed. Yeah, I mean, you got the John Morgans of the world, and
it's gotten really competitive.
Got really competitive. We got a lot of outside money coming in now, and you got these non-lawyer ABS firms starting to sprout up in Arizona. So the landscape's changing. It's funny though. What you're saying to me is, you sound like me. You're an entrepreneur. I like building stuff, but once I get it built, I get bored. I'm ready to go on something else. I mean, I've had a lot of different businesses. Yeah, I like the challenge of building it, but then once I get it built and they just want to coast, I lose interest. I get bored. So tell me, what are the things that you're seeing the biggest mistakes? Lawyers who can't afford to do, the TV and billboards, where is it that they're making the mistakes?
Well, I think overall, the biggest mistake that I see law firms making is they start with execution. And that's actually a lot of the fault of marketing agencies and the marketers who are there. And the demand, the client, the partner wants more cases. I hear this all the time. How do you want every business? I want more cases. So they start immediately at execution. They don't build a strategy. They don't even have a business plan driving the strategy. And they haven't done any sort of analysis or assessment of the market, the competitors, their own positioning. They haven't done the legwork to make their execution successful. So they launch a website, they hire an SEO firm, they start putting blog articles, and they wonder why that stuff's not working. You know what they do? They fire the agency and they hire another agency. And you know what happens? They're even more pissed off because now they've gone through one and they've hired another and they're getting the same results. And they don't have any visibility of whether anything's working. They don't feel like it's working because the business isn't growing. And it's because they haven't built a strategy that makes for your execution to be efficient, for it to have good return on investment on the dollars you spend, on your media spend, on your pay-per-click spend, on even your agency fees. You've got to have a strategy behind it. And the problem with marketing in law firms is lawyers don't know how to build a marketing strategy. Just like I wouldn't know how to have a strategy to go into trial, right? And I always flip this around to when I talk to new prospective clients. I said, imagine if I want to go sue someone and I just spend my time on ChatGPT and asking my friends and going online to find a form and fill out affidavits and depositions. And I just start doing this stuff, but relying on ChatGPT to help me navigate it. You'd look at me probably the way you're looking at me right now, like, boy, you are going to lose that battle, right? You're just not going to be able to figure that out. But it's the same with marketing. I see lawyers that are at your conference at PILMA. They're there watching those presentations. They're writing it all down. Oh my God, I need to do this. I need to use this technology. I need to use that chat function. They're trying to figure out the execution and they haven't started with any strategy. And so I tell whether you are a one attorney law firm, or you've got 20 attorneys, start with the strategy. And the strategy is twofold. You've got to start with the business strategy first. I ask attorneys, where do you want to grow? I said, and they say, I just want the phone to ring. I want more cases. I said, well, that's not a strategy. What kind of cases? What kind of clients? Do you know which ones are more valuable to you? And well, yeah, a truck is much more valuable than a car. Well, yeah, that's simple math. But why? And the amount of time, effort. Why not med mal, auto, I'll slip and fall? Go through all the different. Where do you want to be? I live in South Florida, and if anyone's ever driven I-95 from West Palm Beach down to Miami, I count them. How many billboards there are, that personal injury lawyer billboards on that? It's about a 55-mile stretch. There's 85.
I'm going to say 100.
You know what they all say? They all ask if you're injured with a question mark. They all say, we've won X amount of dollars, 30 million, 20 million, 2 billion. We're the biggest. You know who's the biggest, right? They all say, you don't pay until we win, right? They all say the same thing. So nobody's differentiating themselves. So part of your strategy is, how are you going to be different? How are you going to be different than the 9 other firms that are out there? And you got that behemoth out there, right? The nation's largest, and they're in every market, and they're going into every smaller market. So how are you going to be different? How are you going to get people, if you flip that strategy around and say, why should I hire you and your firm? And they always come back to me with the same 4 things. We win, you don't pay. Yeah, but everybody does that. That's table stakes. So how are you going to make me feel comfortable to hire you versus the 9 other firms? That's where you start with your strategy. What's your business strategy? How are you going to differentiate yourself? Then you can build a modern marketing machine that delivers new clients against that business strategy. I know it's a long answer, but if you start at execution, you're gonna waste your time and your money.
It's the right answer. And I say it a little different, but the same thing I said. The first thing you got to figure out is what's your unique selling proposition, value proposition, differentiator. But the deal is, I like to say it like this: if somebody calls you on the phone, you got to answer 2 questions. Do they need a lawyer? And if they do need a lawyer, why should they choose you over everybody else out there? And if it's just what everybody else is saying, it's like, what is it? The purple cow, Seth Godin.
Yeah.
And here's an example too. Like when I was doing my deal, I did not do the big checks. I did not say we were tough or aggressive. I said, here's what my whole gig, and we did it for years, and it really worked. It was like, not everyone that gets in a wreck needs a lawyer. And then another one was, no lawyer can guarantee results, and neither can we, but we can and we do. Guaranteed, if you're not completely satisfied with it, we treat you, in your case, first 30 days, come get the file, no fees, no cost. That's our 100% client satisfaction guarantee. Never said about money. And here's the deal. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I wish I could say I was that smart, but my idea was, I knew I didn't want the guys that were greedy, because I wanted the clients that wanted justice and wanted what was right. Didn't want a dime more than they were entitled to, but didn't want a dime less. Those people were easier to represent and were easier to satisfy from my standpoint. And that's the kind of clients I wanted. And did I get some greedy ones? Yeah, I did. But for the most part, 90% of my clients were not all about the money. They were about, some of them wanted to be heard, some of them wanted to change things, depending on what type of case it was. But I went at it a whole different way, and it was pretty damn good. It worked pretty good. Yeah. But most lawyers think it's got to be about being tough and getting all this money. But
no, my experience, it's funny, their marketing is that I've found that most PI attorneys, and again, being relatively new to this, they actually at heart have very altruistic intentions. Most of the ones I've met really are proud of the lives they've saved, the careers they've saved, the homes they've protected. They really are, they are not living to be the ambulance chasers that their reputation gives them, right?
I agree.
They're not, they really are, they got into it because they want to help other people. And they truly have that altruistic. That's been my experience in the people. But what's amazing to me is very little of the marketing actually exudes that. Most of it is, like you said, push their chest out. You should hire Stuart the Hammer Foster, right? Or, $8,000 silk suit, tons of books behind me, got a scale somewhere, scale of justice, like all the cliche stuff. I say, get rid of all of that. Get rid of that. Be real and talk to people about them. This is the other thing that I think most lawyers get wrong. Most attorneys get wrong, particularly in the PI space. They talk about themselves. And at the risk of offending everybody in your podcast, nobody gives a shit.
What's in it for me?
If you talk to them and about them in your marketing, say you're not going to lose your job. Your bills are going to be paid. You're going to get a new car and it's all going to be paid for. Like, we're going to take care of you. If you talk about that stuff, and that's an example from auto, right? Rather than, well, we've got hundreds of lawyers and we have beautiful offices and we'll, do this and we're the biggest and we're the best and we won't make you, and they all tell, and I'm certified here and I'm a super lawyer there and I went to this school and that school. Nobody cares. They want to know the other stuff. They want to know you're going to take care of them. And so I give that advice to, even the single attorney firms. That's how you should talk to your prospective clients, and stop talking about yourself. The stuff about yourself, it needs to be there on your website, and people need to be able to check that box. But that box is not the first thing they want to hear. It's the third or fourth thing. It's later.
Yeah, I talked to this real smart copywriter about 20-something years ago, and he said, never use the words I, we, us. It's always you, them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's not about you. He called it what's in it for me? WIFM.
Yeah, with them. Yeah.
What's in it for me? I said, I'm sorry to tell you, but they don't give a shit about you. They won't know what's in it for them. And that stuck with me for years and years and years. But yeah.
But the number of websites that I see where the lawyer is, half sitting on a desk, sitting on the front of his desk, or he's standing in front of the bookshelf, or they're in the atrium of a big class office building looking space, or they line up all the attorneys of the firm into a big picture. It's the same thing. Nobody cares. They don't need to know the suit you wear. Most of the time they're working like you and I are right now, right? Like t-shirt, hat, and just, they know that's not what's going to prove that you're the right firm. Put pictures of them. Show pictures of your clients that people can relate to, and tell the story of how you took care of that person or that person, and put different profiles of people so that they can relate. Because if they see themselves in that imagery, they're gonna be more inclined to say, these people get me. It's intimidating to see a bunch of lawyers in suits. Everyone's scared to be sued.
Yeah, I agree. One of my marketing mentors from way back said, you want to enter the conversation that's on their mind. If you can figure out what's keeping them up at night and address that and have a solution without being all about yourself, it's a winning combination. I don't know. How about this too? How about, you got to have the right strategy and you got to have the differentiator, but you also got to know who you want to market to, right?
Yeah.
So how do you give advice on that?
You've got to do analysis of your current clients, right? And a large law firm, we do this with much more technology, and we use some AI tools because of the volume of clients, right?
Right.
But even if you're a single attorney, get your list of, pay someone $25 an hour if you have to dig and create an Excel spreadsheet. You want to know gender, you want to know age, you want to know zip code, you want to know case type, you want to know how they found you, and even if you have to guess, even if you get it between, they found us on the website, or they searched Google for us, or someone referred us, or another law firm referred, those are different. And create a spreadsheet and start to analyze which ones you resolved faster with a higher income rate for your firm. Those are the things you want more of, right? And you'll start to figure out. We had a recent client, and big firm, and we asked who they were marketing to. And well, at first they couldn't even articulate that, but they generally thought it was mostly men. And when we went through, we found out that actually it's women that they needed to be marketing to. And a lot of people don't realize the power. It's the mom, it's the wife that's usually could be of the injured person, but who's handling the whole process, right? And so even if the man is the injured, it's quite often the wife or the mom or the girlfriend who's researching the firm, So you want to be appealing to her because she might be the one hiring the firm for the injured. So do an analysis of your current clients. It's not hard to do, or hire someone to do it, right?
Yeah, we did that at my firm 30 years ago, and it was 63% women.
Yeah.
But what we found out was that a lot of the men, especially workers' comp cases or stuff where they get hurt on the job, they want to be tough and big, and then, oh, I don't need no help. I got this. And the wife said, no, this is our future. I'm gonna go out and find us somebody. You know what I'm saying? This is too
exactly.
much. Yeah. And we started to try to, push our stuff to the women a little bit more.
We do something we call a customer journey, and it helps us identify who you're marketing to and how you reach them, right? If you're hiring an attorney, or frankly, if you're buying golf balls on Amazon, you go through 5 stages of this journey. First stage is discovery. How do people find you? How do they go from not knowing or caring that you exist to finding you? It might be search. It might be asking a friend. Might be they've seen a billboard. Probably not, my opinion. The billboard is one of the sort of last pieces you want to put in there. Once they discover you, they're going to research you. That's where your website plays a role. Your website's not a discovery tool, it's a research tool. So the information and content you put on your website, you need to put it in a way where you realize people have already discovered you, but now they're researching you. Did you go to college? Where did you go to college? How long have you been doing this? How many people have you done this for? Have you been successful for other people? Did you solve the problems that I'm thinking about? That's the research phase. Then there's the evaluation stage. Now I've got it down to maybe 1 or 2 attorneys, or maybe you're the only one, but I don't want to really evaluate you. Well, that's probably the intake process, right? You're going to be on the phone with somebody in intake, and you're going to be asking questions. So do you have the right scripts? Do you have the right training? Are you saying the right things without even being asked so that you're making them feel comfortable, right? That's the third stage. Then they engage you. And then the last stage is advocate. So are they going to write a review for you when they're happy? Are they going to tell their friends? And that's where the referral business is really important. Are you engaging your past clients? So you're staying top of mind. You might have had a car accident client 2 years ago. Are you sending them new information about insurance? Are you sending them new information about changes in the law? Are you sending them useful information that just lets your firm, therefore, is top of mind as a go-to? And they might have heard that a friend of theirs was in a wreck, yesterday, and they're going to say, "Oh, you got to call Ken. He's the one to go to," right? And so understanding those 5 phases will help you understand, and different clients, like you said, the bravado workers' comp guy who's like, "I'm fine, I don't need to do anything," or the car accident, or the med mal. Those journeys are different. It's not the same for all of them. So if you're doing marketing for different case types and you're doing the same marketing, you're not probably getting a great result. Those journeys are different by case type and by different client segment. So segment your business into different people. Could be 2, could be 3 segments where the most of your business comes from, and really think through that journey.
So exactly. So I'm getting this. Some people understand fractional CMO. It's not like you're an agency. You're not going to go there and do SEO for them. You're not going to go do a TV buy for them. You're not going to go film a commercial for them. Am I right?
That's correct. Think of it as your in-sourced head of marketing. The reason it's called a fractional is instead of hiring us as an employee, which would cost you a lot for somebody with our level of experience and tenure, you're going to hire a fraction of our time, maybe 20% of our time, maybe 35% of our time. You're going to pay a monthly retainer for that. And then that fractional CMO will work on your business, in your firm, become a part of your leadership team for a third of their time. And what they can get done in a third of their time is almost as much as what a full-time employee is doing, because we're not commuting, we're not attending company meetings, we're not going on diversity trainings and all the other stuff that people make employees do. We just are down to business working on your marketing strategy. We come in, we do that audit, we build the strategy, the business strategy, the marketing strategy, and we oversee all of that execution. So when you say, are we doing the media buys? Yeah, we are doing it. We're the head of marketing. So we will either manage an agency, depending on how complicated the task is, or sometimes we'll do it ourselves. Some technology we can set up directly with the firm and we can do it ourselves. And then you have no cost. And other times we're actually managing the agency. So we take all that time and all that responsibility of trying to figure out, do you have the right agency? Are you paying them the right fee? Are they doing good work and are they being managed well? All of that comes to the fractional CMO, and that CMO is answering to the managing partner or whoever you decide that should be managing the CMO. We're your head of marketing inside. It's a great economic model for a law firm because you're paying a fraction of what you would in a salary, but you're getting all the benefit, all the knowledge. I like to say you get 100% of this, you only pay for a portion of this, right? Portion of time, but you get 100% of our knowledge and expertise. Actually, lawyers are the original fractional executive. Before there was fractional CFOs and CMOs, when you needed an attorney, you didn't go employ one and pay them a salary and give them an office and pay their benefits and give them a bonus at the end of the year and all that. That would be a huge expense. You paid for an hour of their time, 2 hours of their time. Why did they cost $500, $1,500, whatever? Why is it a premium for their time? Because you're accessing all of their knowledge and all of their expertise, and what they're able to do in 3-4 hours worth of work, it would take you years to build up that capability. Well, a fractional CMO is a bit in the same way. What we can do in 9 months to transform the marketing function of a law firm would take, even a full-time marketer takes longer because they get sidetracked into other aspects of the business. They're not focused on just building that marketing engine.
So if somebody's interested in inquiring, what's the best way to reach you?
We've got a website, lawfirm-cmo.com. So it's lawfirm-cmo.com. Reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can email me. It's sfoster@lawfirm-cmo.com.
Good deal, man. Anything that I should have asked that I didn't ask, or anything you want to?
No, this is a great conversation. It's always, I enjoy, chatting with people who've been in it for so long and have seen the transformation of the law firm space over the last 20 years. We're relatively new to this, but we think we've got an interesting approach to helping law firms with their growth strategy that no one else is doing. Agencies aren't doing this. They're building websites, they're doing SEO, and you need them, but you need leadership and you need someone driving the train. And it shouldn't be an attorney. They should be either litigating or managing the attorneys of their firm.
Well, good job. Well, listen, thank you. And
thank you, Ken.
Yes, sir. And until next time, this is Ken Hardison, dedicated to your success.
You have been listening to the Grow Your Law Firm podcast, the podcast that leads lawyers to more growth, profit, and freedom. Go to growyourlawfirm.com to find more ways to market and manage your law firm. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts.